A night nobody planned fourth announcement echoed through Terminal 3 like a death sentence for travel plans. All flights to Denver canceled until further notice. James Mitchell felt his stomach drop as he looked down at his daughter Lily, whose small hand gripped his tightly. The 7-year-old's eyes were already heavy with exhaustion, and now they had nowhere to go.
"Daddy, does this mean we sleep here?"
Lily asked, her voice tiny against the chaos of frustrated travelers around them. James knelt down to her level, forcing a smile he didn't quite feel. "Looks like we're having an adventure, sweetheart. How does that sound?" Outside the massive windows, snow fell in thick sheets, turning the runway into a winter wonderland that was beautiful and terrible all at once. Chicago was known for harsh weather, but this storm had arrived faster and fiercer than anyone predicted. The temperature had dropped 20 degrees in 2 hours, and visibility was nearly zero. James guided Lily to a row of uncomfortable plastic seats near Gate 42. His back already ached from the long day of work before their rushed trip to the airport. He had used his last vacation days to visit his sister in Denver, hoping Lily could spend Thanksgiving with her cousins. Now those plans were melting away like snow on warm concrete. He pulled out his wallet and counted the bills inside. $43. That was everything until his next paycheck on Friday. His credit card had been maxed out months ago during Lily's hospital stay when she had pneumonia. The medical bills still came every month, reminders of how quickly life could spin out of control. "I'm hungry, Daddy," Lily whispered, leaning against his shoulder. "I know, baby." "Let me see what I can find." He was about to stand when a voice cut through his thoughts, smooth and unexpected. "Excuse me, is anyone sitting here?" James looked up to find a woman standing beside their row. She wore an elegant navy coat that probably cost more than his monthly rent, and her dark auburn hair was pulled back in a way that looked effortlessly perfect. But it was her eyes that caught him off guard. Deep green and somehow kind. Despite the expensive clothes and confident posture, "No, go ahead," James said. Gesturing to the empty seats, the woman sat down gracefully, setting a leather briefcase beside her. She pulled out her phone, fingers moving quickly across the screen. James tried not to stare, but there was something magnetic about her presence. She belonged in first-class lounges, not stranded in a regular terminal with everyone else. Lily, never one to be shy, leaned forward. "I like your coat. It's pretty." The woman's face softened instantly, a genuine smile replacing her focused expression. "Thank you, sweetheart. I like your backpack. Are those stars on it?" "Yeah." "I want to be an astronaut when I grow up," Lily announced proudly. "That's wonderful. The world needs more astronauts." James felt something warm in his chest watching them interact. Lily had that effect on people. She could make anyone smile, even on the worst days. When kindness appears, the next hour crawled by slowly. More announcements came, each one delivering bad news. No flights tonight. Hotels near the airport were fully booked. The airport would remain open, but passengers were on their own. James watched other families settle in for the long night. Some had blankets and pillows, clearly experienced travelers. Others, like him, looked lost and unprepared. Lily had fallen asleep against him, her breathing soft and steady. At least she could escape this mess through sleep. "First time getting stranded?" the woman asked quietly. James turned, surprised she was speaking to him. "That obvious?" "You have the look. I've seen it before." She smiled slightly. "I've been that person too, more times than I can count. Travel a lot?" "Too much, probably." "I'm Rachel, by the way. Rachel Bennett." James Mitchell. "And that's Lily." Rachel glanced at the sleeping child. "She's beautiful." "How old?" 7. Just turned 7 last month." "Does she really want to be an astronaut?" James chuckled softly. "This week she does. Last month it was a veterinarian. Before that, a chef. She changes her mind like other kids change clothes. She sounds perfect." Something in Rachel's tone made James look at her more carefully. There was a loneliness there, hidden beneath the polished exterior. He recognized it because he carried his own version every day. The terminal lights seemed harsher as midnight approached. James shifted, trying to find a comfortable position without waking Lily. His neck was stiff, and his back screamed in protest. Rachel stood suddenly. "Wait here for a moment." Before James could respond, she walked away, her heels clicking against the tile floor. He watched her approach a gift shop that was about to close. Through the window, he saw her talking to the clerk and pulling out her wallet. 5 minutes later, she returned carrying a bag. She pulled out 2 travel pillows and a soft blanket. "You shouldn't have to sleep like that," Rachel said simply, handing them to him. James stared at the items, then at her. "I can't accept these. You're not accepting them. I'm giving them because I want to. There's a difference, but why?" Rachel sat back down, her expression thoughtful. "Because someone did the same for me once, a long time ago. And because your daughter shouldn't have to sleep on plastic chairs if I can help it." James felt his throat tighten. Kindness from strangers was rare in his experience. People usually looked through him, not at him. But Rachel was different. "Thank you," he managed, his voice rough with emotion. "Really, thank you. You're welcome, James." He carefully arranged the pillow under Lily's head and draped the blanket over her small body. She stirred slightly but didn't wake. The sight of her peaceful face made everything worth it. All the struggles, all the late nights working extra hours, all the sacrifices. She was his reason for everything. Conversations in the dark the airport grew quieter as the night deepened. Most travelers had found their spots and settled in. The constant drone of announcements faded, placed by the occasional cough or whispered conversation. Rachel had put her phone away. She sat with her legs crossed, looking out at the snow that continued to fall relentlessly. "What takes you to Denver?" James asked, breaking the comfortable silence. "A meeting that won't happen now. Quarterly reports and budget reviews. The kind of thing that feels important until a snowstorm reminds you it's really not." "What do you do?" "I run a technology company. Bennett Technologies. We develop software for healthcare systems." James let out a low whistle. "That sounds impressive. It pays the bills." Rachel turned to him. "What about you?" "I'm an electrician. Commercial buildings mostly. Nothing fancy. Honest work. The world needs good electricians more than it needs another tech CEO, trust me." James smiled despite himself. "You don't strike me as the humble type, not usually. But tonight feels different. Like the normal rules don't apply." She paused. "Can I ask you something personal?" "Depends on the question." "Where's Lily's mother?" The question hung in the air between them. James had been asked this countless times, but it never got easier. "She left when Lily was 2, he said finally. "Decided being a mother wasn't what she wanted. Signed away her rights and moved across the country. We haven't heard from her since." Rachel's expression shifted to something between anger and sadness. "I'm sorry. That must have been devastating." "It was, but we survived. We always do." James looked at his sleeping daughter. "She's the strongest person I know. She doesn't remember her mother, so she doesn't miss what she never had. She just knows that I'm here, and that's enough for her. You're a good father. That's clear. I try. Some days are harder than others." Rachel nodded slowly. "I don't have children. Never seemed to be the right time. I built my company from nothing after my father passed away. I was 28 and suddenly responsible for 50 employees and millions in contracts. Romance took a back seat. Then the back seat became the trunk. Then the trunk became some distant memory I occasionally think about at 3 in the morning." James heard the regret in her voice. "It's not too late, you know? Maybe not." Rachel's smile was sad. "Sometimes I wonder what I traded for all this success. My company is worth millions. I have houses I barely live in and cars I barely drive. But I eat dinner alone every night. I spend holidays working because there's nobody waiting for me at home. I'm 36 years old and I can't remember the last time someone touched me with actual affection." The vulnerability in her confession surprised James. This wasn't the powerful CEO anymore. This was just Rachel, a woman who had built an empire but lost herself in the process. "That sounds lonely," James said softly. "It is. I didn't realize how lonely until tonight. Sitting here watching you with your daughter, seeing the way she trusts you completely. That's wealth. Real wealth. and I don't have it. Lily shifted in her sleep, murmuring something unintelligible. James adjusted the blanket around her shoulders.
Oh.
You know what's funny? James said. I look at someone like you and think you have everything. The success, the money, the freedom. Meanwhile, I'm one unexpected expense away from disaster. My apartment has mold in the bathroom I can't afford to fix. My truck needs new brakes I keep putting off. Last week I had to choose between buying Lily new shoes or paying the electric bill on time. I chose the shoes. But you have her, Rachel said, gesturing to Lily. You have love, purpose, someone who needs you. You have security. Options, the ability to choose your path. They looked at each other then, really looked, and both started laughing quietly. The absurdity of it was perfect. Two people from completely different worlds, each envying what the other had. We're a mess, aren't we? Rachel said, wiping her eyes. The worst kind, James agreed. The laughter faded into a warm silence. Around them, the airport breathed with the rhythm of sleeping travelers. Outside, the snow showed no signs of stopping. Rachel reached into her bag and pulled out a protein bar. Here, you must be hungry. I couldn't. James, please. Let me do something kind without you fighting me on it. He accepted the bar, too tired and hungry to argue. It tasted like cardboard and artificial chocolate, but his stomach was grateful. Thank you. For everything tonight, the pillows, the blanket, listening to me complain. You didn't have to do any of it. I know, Rachel said. But I wanted to. You remind me that there are still good people in the world. People who work hard and love harder. People who haven't forgotten what actually matters. Her hand moved across the armrest between them, fingers stopping just inches from his. Neither moved closer, but neither pulled away either. The moment stretched, full of possibility and fear in equal measure. Then Lily woke up, rubbing her eyes sleepily. Daddy, I need the bathroom. The spell broke. James stood, helping his daughter to her feet. Come on, sweetheart. It's this way. Glanced back at Rachel, who was watching them with an expression he couldn't quite read. But her eyes held something he recognized. Hope. The dangerous kind that makes you believe things might actually change. As he walked away with Lily's small hand in his, James felt something shift inside his chest. Something that had been frozen for 5 long years was starting to thaw. And while he didn't know if that was wonderful or terrifying, he knew one thing for certain. This night was changing him. This storm, this stranger, this moment, it was all changing him in ways he couldn't yet understand but could definitely feel. The morning. After the storm, dawn broke cold and gray over Chicago, painting the snow-covered runway in shades of silver and blue. James woke with a stiff neck, and Lily curled against his side, still wrapped in the blanket Rachel had given them. For a moment, he forgot where he was. Then reality crashed back with the announcement of flight delays continuing into the morning. He looked around and found Rachel sitting in the same spot, though she had moved 1 seat closer during the night. Her eyes were closed, but he could tell she wasn't really sleeping. There was a tension in her shoulders that suggested she had spent the night thinking rather than resting. Rachel, he said softly. Her eyes opened immediately, alert despite the hour. Morning. How did you sleep? Like I spent the night in an airport, he said with a tired smile. About the same. She stretched carefully, her coat wrinkled for the first time since he had met her. Somehow, the imperfection made her seem more real, more human. I was thinking we should get breakfast. There's a cafe that opens at 6. James checked his phone. 5:45. He thought about the $43 in his wallet and how far it needed to stretch. I appreciate the offer, but we're okay. Rachel tilted her head, studying him. James, I'm going to say something, and I need you to really hear me. I make more money before lunch than most people make in a month. I'm not saying that to brag. I'm saying it so you understand that buying you and Lily breakfast won't even register in my bank account. Meanwhile, you're sitting here doing math in your head, trying to figure out if you can afford to feed your daughter. Please let me help. The directness of it caught him off guard. Most people danced around money, pretended it didn't matter. Rachel just laid it out plain. Why do you care? He asked, genuinely curious, Because last night was the first real conversation I've had in months, maybe years. Because Lily smiled at my coat and didn't care that it cost $3,000. Because you looked at me like I was a person, not a bank account or a business opportunity. Rachel's voice softened. Let me buy you breakfast, James. Not as charity. As a thank you. Lily stirred awake, yawning widely. Are we flying today, Daddy? Not yet, baby. But we're going to get some breakfast. How does that sound? Pancakes. Her eyes lit up with hope. Rachel laughed, and the sound was lighter than James had heard from her. Pancakes it is. It's a breakfast that changed everything. The airport cafe was nearly empty. Just a few early risers and stranded travelers seeking comfort in coffee and warm food. Rachel led them to a corner booth with a view of the runways. Where maintenance crews were working to clear the snow, a waitress approached, looking tired but friendly. Rachel ordered coffee. James asked for the same, and Lily requested chocolate milk with her pancakes. Make that the deluxe pancake breakfast, Rachel added, with eggs, bacon, and hash browns. For all of us. James started to protest, but Rachel gave him a look that stopped him cold. Don't, she said simply. When the waitress left, Lily started chattering about everything and nothing. She told Rachel about her school, her best friend Hannah, who had 2 pet rabbits, and how she was learning multiplication tables, but found them really hard. Rachel listened with complete attention, asking questions that showed she actually cared about the answers. James watched this powerful woman engage with his 7-year-old daughter like they were old friends, and something warm spread through his chest. Do you like being a boss? Lily asked suddenly. Rachel considered the question seriously. Sometimes, it's exciting when we create something that helps people. My company makes programs that hospitals use to keep track of patients and medicines. That feels good, but sometimes it's lonely. I spend a lot of time in meetings and on phone calls. I don't get to just be Rachel very often. Should take more breaks, Lily said with the simple wisdom of children. My teacher says breaks are important for your brain. Your teacher sounds smart, Rachel said, smiling. I should listen to that advice more often. The food arrived, and for a while, they ate in comfortable silence. James couldn't remember the last time a meal had tasted this good. Maybe it was the hunger, or maybe it was the company. Probably both. Can I ask you something? Rachel said to James as Lily focused intently on drowning her pancakes in syrup. Sure. What happened with Lily's mother? You said she left, but there has to be more to the story. James set down his fork, the familiar weight settling in his stomach. But something about Rachel's genuine curiosity made him want to share. Her name was Jennifer. We met when I was 25, working construction. She was a waitress at this diner I went to every morning. We fell hard and fast. Got married 6 months later. He paused, gathering his thoughts. When she got pregnant, I was terrified but excited. Jennifer seemed happy at first. But after Lily was born, something changed. Postpartum depression? Rachel asked gently. Maybe, probably. But she refused to get help. She said motherhood was suffocating her, that she had never wanted this life. One day I came home from work and she was just gone. Left a note saying she couldn't do it anymore. Her lawyer called 2 weeks later with papers to terminate her parental rights. Rachel's hand moved across the table, covering his. The touch was warm, grounding. That must have broken you. It did. For a while. But then I looked at Lily, really looked at her, and I realized I had a choice. I could fall apart, or I could be everything she needed. So I became both parents. I learned to braid hair from YouTube videos. I figured out tea parties and bedtime stories. I've worked 2 jobs so I could afford daycare and keep a roof over our heads. You're incredible, James. You know that, right? He looked at her, really looked, and saw nothing but sincerity in those green eyes. I'm just doing what any parent would do. No, you're doing what a great parent does. There's a difference. Lily looked up from her pancakes, syrup on her chin. My daddy is the best daddy in the whole world. Rachel squeezed James's hand once before letting go. I believe that, sweetheart. Walls coming down after breakfast? They returned to their seats at gate 42. The terminal had come alive with morning activity, but their little corner felt separate, like they existed in their own bubble. Rachel pulled out her laptop, but instead of working, she closed it again. Tell me about your family. Do you have anyone else? My sister in Denver. That's where we were heading. She's married with 2 kids. They were planning this big Thanksgiving dinner. James smiled sadly. My parents died in a car accident when I was 19. After that, it was just me and Amy. She's been my rock, especially after Jennifer left. I'm sorry about your parents. It was a long time ago. The pain never really goes away, but you learn to carry it differently. He turned the question back on her. What about your family? Rachel's expression shifted, walls going up before slowly coming back down. My mother left when I was 10. Just walked out one day and never came back. My father raised me alone. He was a brilliant man, an engineer who started Bennett Technologies in our garage. He taught me everything about business, about being strong, about never depending on anyone else. It sounds like a hard lesson for a kid. It was. But it made me who I am. When he died 8 years ago, I took over the company. I was 28, and everyone thought I would fail. Instead, I tripled the company's value in 5 years. I proved them all wrong. At what cost? James asked gently. Rachel looked at him, and for a moment, her carefully constructed facade cracked completely. Everything. I proved them wrong, but I lost myself in the process. I haven't been on a date in 3 years. My best friend got tired of canceled plans and stopped calling. Last Christmas, I worked through the entire holiday because I had nowhere else to be. It's not living, Rachel. That's surviving, I know. Her voice was barely a whisper. I know, and I don't know how to change it. I've built this empire, but I'm trapped inside it. Lily, sensing the heavy mood, climbed into Rachel's lap without asking permission. The gesture was so natural, so trusting, that Rachel's eyes filled with tears. You're sad, Lily said, touching Rachel's face. It's okay to be sad sometimes. Daddy says our feelings are important. Oh, Rachel wrapped her arms around the little girl, holding on like she was a life raft. Your daddy is right. He's right about a lot of things. James watched them, his heart doing something complicated in his chest. This woman, this powerful CEO who commanded boardrooms and made million-dollar decisions, was crying in an airport while his daughter comforted her. It was beautiful and heartbreaking all at once. I don't want to go back, Rachel said suddenly. To my life, my office, the endless meetings. I don't want to be that person anymore. And don't be, James said simply. It's not that easy, isn't it? You're Rachel Bennett. You run a company. You make decisions that affect hundreds of people. Surely you can make one decision for yourself. She looked at him over Lily's head, hope and fear warring in her expression. What if I don't know how? Then you learn. Just like I learned to braid hair and make lunches shaped like hearts. You figure it out as you go. Announcement crackled overhead. Flights to Denver resuming at noon. Boarding would begin at 11:30. The news should have been relief. But instead, James felt something sink in his stomach. In just a few hours, they would board a plane and fly away from this moment. Rachel would return to her life, and he would return to his. And this connection would become just a story they told sometimes. Unless... Rachel, he said, his voice stronger than he felt. Give me your number. She blinked, surprised. What? Your phone number? Give it to me, because I'm not ready for this to end. Are you? For a long moment, she just stared at him. Then slowly, she pulled out her phone. No, I'm not ready at all. They exchanged numbers, fingers brushing as they handed phones back. It was such a small gesture, but it felt monumental. The hardest could be relevant. 30 arrived too quickly. The boarding announcement for Denver echoed through the terminal, and suddenly, reality crashed back in. James gathered their things, his movements slow, reluctant. Lily held Rachel's hand, seeming to understand that something important was ending. They walked to the gate together, none of them speaking. What was there to say? Thank you for one night seemed inadequate. I'll never forget you felt too dramatic. So they walked in silence, the weight of impending separation heavy on all of them. At the boarding area, James finally stopped. He turned to Rachel, and all the words he had been holding back wanted to rush out at once. "This was the strangest night of my life," he said, "and maybe the best." Rachel's smile was trembling. Mine, too. Lily hugged Rachel's legs fiercely. "Will I see you again?" "I hope so, sweetheart. I really hope so." James pulled out his boarding pass, hands shaking slightly. This was it. The moment they walked away from each other and returned to their separate worlds. But then Rachel grabbed his arm. Wait, he turned back, and what he saw in her face made his breath catch. Determination, decision, hope. "Come to my office. Next week, both of you. I'll send a car. We'll have dinner, really talk, figure out what this is between us. Because, James, I haven't felt alive in years, and last night with you and Lily, I felt everything. I can't just let that go. Rachel, our worlds are so different. I don't care. Do you?" James looked at his daughter, then back at this incredible woman who had appeared in his life like a miracle wrapped in a snowstorm. "I don't care at all." They were calling his boarding group. Final call. Rachel kissed Lily's forehead, then did something that surprised them both. She kissed James's cheek, her lips soft and warm. "Next week. Promise me. I promise." He took Lily's hand and walked toward the gate, each step harder than the last. At the doorway, he looked back one final time. Rachel stood there, elegant and rumpled and more beautiful than anyone had a right to be in an airport at noon. She raised her hand in a small wave. He waved back, then disappeared down the jet bridge. As the plane lifted off, cutting through clouds toward blue sky, James held Lily close and thought about the impossible thing that had just happened. He had met someone, really met someone, and maybe, just maybe, his life was about to change in ways he never imagined possible. Beside him, Lily pressed her face to the window. "I like Miss Rachel, Daddy." "Me too, baby. Me too." The call that changed everything. 3 days passed like years. James went back to work, went through the motions of normal life. But his mind kept wandering back to Gate 42, 2 green eyes and honest conversations, to the feeling that maybe his life could be more than just survival. He was under a sink in a downtown office building, wrestling with corroded pipes when his phone rang. Unknown number. He almost ignored it, but something made him answer. James Mitchell. Speaking. "This is Patricia Cole. I'm Miss Bennett's personal assistant. She asked me to call and arrange your visit for this Friday evening, if you're available. She would like you and your daughter to join her for dinner." James sat up so fast he hit his head on the sink. "Friday. This Friday?" "Yes, sir. She's arranged for a car service to pick you up at 5 o'clock. I'll need your address." His mind raced. Friday was 2 days away. He would need to find someone to cover his evening shift. He would need to figure out what to wear. He would need to tell Lily without getting her hopes up too high. Who was he kidding? His own hopes were already through the roof. He gave Patricia his address. Hung up and sat there on the bathroom floor of an office building, grinning like an idiot. His coworker Danny stuck his head in. "You good, man?" "You look weird." "I have a date," James said, still grinning. "About damn time." "When's the last time you went out?" James thought about it. 5 years ago? When Lily was 2? Danny whistled low. "Well, she must be something special, if she got you to break that streak." "She really is," James said softly. "She really, really is." Friday arrives. Friday arrives. Friday came with anxiety and excitement in equal measure. James had told Lily they were having dinner with Miss Rachel, and she had talked about nothing else for 2 days straight. She insisted on wearing her favorite dress, the purple one with stars that she usually saved for birthdays, at 4:30. James stood in front of his bathroom mirror, adjusting his tie for the 100th time. He owned exactly one suit, purchased 6 years ago for a cousin's wedding. It still fit, barely, though it had seen better days. "Daddy, the car is here," Lily shouted from the living room window. James took one last look at himself. This was crazy. A woman like Rachel Bennett and a guy like him. Different planets, different galaxies. But then he remembered how she had looked at him in that airport. How she had held Lily like she was precious. How she had cried and been real and human. Maybe galaxies could collide sometimes. Maybe that was okay. The car was a sleek black sedan with a professional driver who opened doors and called him Sir. Lily's eyes were huge as they settled into leather seats that probably cost more than his monthly rent. Daddy, this is so fancy, she whispered. It sure is, baby. The drive took 30 minutes, winding through downtown Chicago until they pulled up to a building that seemed to touch the clouds. Bennett Technologies was written in silver letters across the entrance. The driver opened their door. Miss Bennett is expecting you on the top floor. The elevator on the right will take you directly up. James took Lily's hand, and they walked into a lobby that looked like something from a movie. Marble floors, modern art on the walls, a fountain that burbled peacefully in the center. The elevator ride was smooth and silent, climbing floor after floor until the doors opened directly into an office space that took his breath away. Floor-to-ceiling windows showed the entire city spread out below, lights beginning to twinkle as dusk approached. And there, standing by those windows, was Rachel. She had changed too, though not as dramatically as he feared. She wore jeans, actual jeans, and a soft cream sweater that made her look approachable, warm. Her hair was down, falling in waves around her shoulders when she turned and saw them. Her face transformed with a smile that hit James right in the chest. "You came," she said. "Walking toward them, you thought we wouldn't? I was scared you might change your mind, that you would decide this was too crazy." "It is crazy," James admitted. "But I'm here anyway." Lily ran forward and hugged Rachel's waist. "I missed you, Miss Rachel." Rachel knelt down, eye level with the little girl. "I missed you too, sweetheart. I've thought about you every single day. Both of you." Dinner and Discovery's Rachel had arranged for dinner to be catered in her office. Not fancy restaurant food, but comfort food. Pizza, chicken fingers, mac and cheese, things Lily would actually eat. The thoughtfulness of it made James's throat tight. They sat on the floor around her coffee table, paper plates and napkins, like the expensive office had transformed into someone's living room. "Tell me everything," Rachel said. "What have you been doing since you got home?" Lily launched into stories about school, about how she got a gold star on her spelling test, about how Hannah's rabbits had babies. Rachel listened like it was the most important news in the world. James watched them, his heart doing that complicated thing again. Lily had taken to Rachel so naturally, like she had just been waiting for this person to appear in their lives. After dinner, Lily asked if she could draw, and Rachel produced paper and markers from somewhere. Soon, the little girl was sprawled on the carpet, creating elaborate pictures while humming to herself. Rachel and James moved to the window, standing side by side. Looking out at the city, "I haven't been able to stop thinking about you," Rachel said quietly. "About that night. I keep wondering if I imagined how real it felt." "You didn't imagine it," James said. "I've been thinking about you too, constantly. It's actually been kind of distracting." She laughed softly. "Good distraction or bad distraction?" "Good. Definitely good." Turned to face her. "Rachel, I need to know what this is. What you want it to be. Because I have Lily to think about. I can't bring someone into her life who's going to disappear." "I'm not going anywhere," Rachel said firmly. "James, I know this is fast. I know we barely know each other, but I haven't felt this way in my entire life. That night in the airport, you and Lily, you reminded me what it means to be human, to connect with people, to want something more than quarterly profits and board meetings. What are you saying?" "I'm saying I want to try. Really try. I want to get to know you. I want to be part of Lily's life. I want to see where this goes between us." James's heart hammered in his chest. "My life isn't glamorous. I work long hours for not much money. I live in a tiny apartment in a neighborhood you probably wouldn't walk through at night. I can't take you to fancy restaurants or buy you expensive gifts, James." Rachel put her hand on his chest, right over his racing heart. "I have money. I have fancy restaurants. I have everything material a person could want, and I've been miserable. What I don't have is this. Us. Someone who looks at me like I'm not a bank account or a business deal. Someone who makes me want to be better." "You make me want to be better too," he admitted. You make me think maybe I can be more than just surviving. Maybe I can actually live again. They were standing so close now. Close enough that he could see flecks of gold in her green eyes. Close enough that he could smell her perfume. Something subtle and perfect. "Can I kiss you?" he asked, his voice rough. "I thought you'd never ask." Their lips met, soft and tentative at first, then deeper as 5 years of loneliness and 1 week of wanting crashed together. Rachel's hands came up to his face, and James wrapped his arms around her waist, pulling her closer. When they finally broke apart, both breathing hard, Rachel was smiling. That was worth waiting for. Yeah, it really was. "Daddy." "Miss Rachel? Are you guys boyfriend and girlfriend now?" They turned to find Lily watching them with a knowing smile, her picture forgotten. James laughed, embarrassed. "How long have you been watching?" "Long enough." "You were kissing? That means you like each other." Rachel knelt down beside Lily. "Your daddy and I do like each other very much. How would you feel about that? About me spending more time with you both?" Lily pretended to think hard about it, then grinned. "I think that would be really good. Daddy needs someone to make him happy. He thinks I don't notice, but he's sad a lot." James felt tears prick his eyes. His daughter, always so aware, always trying to take care of him. "Well, I'm going to do my best to make him happy," Rachel said seriously. "And you too. Because you both deserve all the happiness in the world." New beginnings over the next few weeks, Rachel became part of their lives in ways that felt both natural and extraordinary. She showed up at Lily's school play, sitting in the audience beside James, clapping louder than anyone when Lily said her 2 lines as tree number 3. She came to their apartment, and instead of being horrified by its smallness, she helped Lily bake cookies while James fixed a leaky faucet. She got flour on her expensive jeans and didn't care. She invited them to her house, a beautiful place in Lincoln Park with too many rooms for one person. They spent Saturday afternoons there, Lily playing in the huge backyard while James and Rachel sat on the porch, talking about everything and nothing. But it wasn't all perfect. There were challenges. Rachel's world didn't easily make space for a blue-collar electrician and his daughter. Some of her colleagues raised eyebrows. Some of her friends asked questions that weren't really supportive. One evening, after a particularly brutal board meeting, Rachel came to James's apartment looking exhausted and defeated. "They think I'm crazy," she said, collapsing on his worn couch. "My CFO actually asked if I was having a midlife crisis. One of the board members suggested I was making decisions with my heart instead of my head." James sat beside her, pulling her close. "What did you tell them?" "I told them that for the first time in my adult life, I'm making decisions that actually matter, that I'm choosing something real over something profitable, that maybe using my heart isn't such a terrible thing." How did they take that? Not well. But I don't care. "James, I don't care what they think. I care about you. I care about Lily. I care about this life we're building together, even though it's complicated. Especially because it's complicated. Easy isn't always right. Sometimes the best things are the hardest to hold on to." Lily appeared in the doorway, pajamas on, ready for bed. "Miss Rachel, are you staying for bedtime stories?" Rachel looked at James, asking permission. He nodded, smiling. "I would love to, sweetheart." They all climbed into Lily's small bed, James on one side, Rachel on the other, Lily in the middle. Rachel read from a book about a princess who saved herself, her voice soft and steady. When Lily fell asleep, they carefully extracted themselves and moved to the living room. "I could get used to this," Rachel whispered. "Cramped apartments and worn-out furniture. Family. Belonging. Mattering to people who matter to me." James pulled her close, breathing in the scent of her hair. "You matter to us, Rachel. More than you know." "I love you," she said suddenly, the words tumbling out. "I know it's too soon, and I know we're still figuring this out, but I love you, James Mitchell. I love you and your beautiful daughter, and I'm not going anywhere." His heart stopped, then started again, stronger than before. "I love you too. I've loved you since that airport, since you noticed we were cold and decided to do something about it. You changed my life, Rachel. You changed everything. They kissed there, in the dim light of his living room, surrounded by mismatched furniture and toys scattered on the floor. It wasn't perfect or glamorous, but it was real. It was theirs. 6 months later, the wedding was small, intimate, held in Rachel's backyard on a perfect June afternoon. Just family and close friends, people who truly mattered. Lily was the flower girl, wearing a dress that made her feel like a princess. She took her job seriously, carefully dropping petals along the makeshift aisle. Rachel wore a simple white dress, no veil, no frills. She didn't need them. She was radiant just as she was. James waited at the altar, his sister Amy beside him as his best person. When Rachel appeared, walking alone because that's how she wanted it, his breath caught. This incredible woman, this force of nature, had chosen him, had chosen them. The ceremony was short, the words traditional but meaningful. When they exchanged rings, both of them were crying.
"I never thought I'd have this," Rachel whispered as they danced their first dance.
A family, home. Someone who loves me not for what I can do, but for who I am. You deserve all of this and more, James said. You deserve everything good in this world. Lily ran up to them, grabbing both their hands. Can we all dance together? They pulled her between them, the three of them swaying to music in the fading sunlight. Around them, guests smiled and wiped tears, witnessing something beautiful. Two lives that should never have intersected. It's brought together by a snowstorm and fate, and the courage to believe that sometimes love doesn't make sense. It just is. Later that night, after the guests had left, and Lily was asleep in her new bedroom, in their new house that was somehow theirs, James and Rachel stood on the back porch. No regrets? He asked, pulling her close. Not a single one. You. Just that I didn't meet you sooner. Rachel laughed, resting her head on his shoulder. We met exactly when we were supposed to. Not a moment before, not a moment after. That night at the airport, that's when both of us were finally ready. Ready to be seen, ready to be loved, ready to build something real. You're probably right. I'm always right. You should get used to that. James smiled, kissing the top of her head. Above them, stars appeared one by one in the darkening sky. Somewhere in the house, Lily was dreaming of astronauts and adventures.